night, we had the Denver Broncos beat the Detroit Lions in Detroit by a score of 24-12. Denver Broncos are the Vikings' upcoming opponent here in Week 4, and the Broncos are 3-0. The Detroit Lions drop to 0-3, and then in the Monday night game, in a game where the final score was closer than the game actually felt like in reality the whole week, we had the Green Bay Packers beating the Kansas City Chiefs in Green Bay by a score of 38-28. So boom, there you have it. 12 out of 16 winners predicted correctly in Week 3. And all of your, injury news and notes and a lot of your fantasy football dimes and sleepers and gems thrown in there as well. So we're multitasking here already. This is great. We might be able to fit everything into the show. Probably not. But anyway, that would bring us now to one of my favorite parts here of every week, and that is picking the games. I love picking the winners and losers of every week's games. So let's get to this upcoming Week 4's set of games. And we start, as always, with the Thursday night football game that is tomorrow night on NFL Network. And for some crazy reason, they're carrying the games on CBS WCCO here in Minnesota, Channel 4. But I don't understand why. I don't understand why these Thursday night games are not being just shown on the cable network, NFL Network, and they're also being broadcast on local regional CBS channels, or at least they are in my area. Not sure what that is there. I think that's just the NFL trying to slowly get their way to, national TV full-time Thursday night and Sunday and Monday. More money. But anyway, with this week's Thursday night game, which you can watch on NFL Network or possibly CBS, we have the Baltimore Ravens, the winless Baltimore Ravens, going on the road against their bitter division rival. This is one of the best rivalries in all of pro football. The Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Pittsburgh Steelers just lost their franchise quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, for at least a month, if not longer. So this is, lots of different ways you could go, different things you could prioritize to pick this game. Steelers are the home team. Steelers are the better team all around so far this year across the board. Steelers have a great offense. They can run the ball great. Ravens are winless. But one could also use that as well. The Ravens have their back against the wall. The Ravens need to win more. Ravens also have their franchise starting quarterback. Steelers do not. It's the most important position in all of football. Steelers' defense is not that great. Ravens' defense is not as good as was advertised either, in part to injury, primarily to Terrell Suggs, but also in part to simply a lot of people, not myself necessarily, but a lot of people in general, overrating the talent on that side of the ball for the Baltimore Ravens. But to me, the Ravens are a good team that should easily be 1-2 or 2-1 right now, maybe even 3-0. They had a chance to win all three of those games that they lost. Back against the wall, against an opponent they know extremely well, who is not at full strength, who is they're less close to full strength than the Ravens are. I'm going with the Ravens on the road to win that game straight up. And then as far as the spread goes on that one, the Steelers are a 2.5-point underdog. I do feel that the Ravens will cover the spread as well. All right, and next we have the New York Jets on the road, hosting the Miami Dolphins. And the Jets are actually a 2.5-point favorite in that game. I am picking the Miami Dolphins both to cover the spread and win that game straight up, coming off of their embarrassing loss to the Buffalo Bills. Jets finally coming back down to earth. They overachieved the first couple weeks. I think it's going to catch up with them. So I got the Miami Dolphins in both spread and straight up over the New York Jets this week. Then moving on to the Houston Texans, who will be playing the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. And the Falcons are a 6.5 point favorite to win this game at home. Now, this one I'm split on. I could see the Texans upsetting this game because the Falcons, while I picked them to be a playoff team, contend, possibly win their division. I had them with 9-7, tied with the Saints at 9-7. Just didn't know who'd have the tiebreaker. But this, to me, just feels like one of those games that the Falcons franchise organization tends to lose. You got momentum, everything's going good, you come home, you play a team that you appear to be superior to, and then for whatever reason you just don't show up. So this could be a big statement game for the Atlanta Falcons to actually come out at home as a favorite and just take care of business and not be those same old, unreliable, inconsistent Falcons. Until I see it, I won't trust it. I am picking the Falcons to win this game. I mean, after all, they are at home and they are the better team. However, being a 6.5 point favorite, I don't know that the Falcons will win the game by 7, by a full touchdown or more. Therefore, I'm taking the Houston Texans in versus the spread. All right, moving on to the New York Giants at the Buffalo Bills. The Giants are a 5.5 point underdog in this battle for the state of New York. We've got a Super Bowl rematch from Scott Norwood. Could you imagine how the world would be different if Scott Norwood would have just made that freaking field goal and won the Super Bowl for the Buffalo Bills in their first appearance against the New York Giants, and the Buffalo Bills have a Super Bowl victory in their first of 4 straight appearances that maybe leads to 4 straight Super Bowl victories instead of 4 straight Super Bowl losses, and one football genius, Bill Parcells, maybe never wins a Super Bowl championship at all and is not revered as one of the all-time great football minds. That one kick, if Scott Norwood would have just made that field goal, it changed the whole entire NFL landscape as you and I know it today. But anyway, we got a rematch of that Super Bowl. Giants, like I said, are a 5.5 point underdog. The Bills are certainly a better team, and technically they are at home, even though the Giants travel well and they're both from in-state. I like the Giants to cover the spread. I am picking the Bills to win the game. But like I said, I'm picking the Giants versus the spread. And also this one is another team that shouldn't have any problem with the environment and is underachieving. They could have way more wins. They could have won all the games that they've lost just as easily. So I'm picking the Bills to win this game at home, being the better team. But this is another one that I'm leery about. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Giants beat the Bills. But the Bills are my pick. All right, moving on. We got the Oakland Raiders at the Chicago Bears. Are you kidding me? Oakland Raiders by a bajillion. The Bears are a 2.5 point underdog. They could add 2 more zeros in between that 2 and that 0.5. And that'd be the only way I'd consider taking the Bears if it was a 200 point spread. 20 point spread, I'm still taking anybody versus the Bears. Well, maybe not the Niners. I don't know. I'd probably take the Niners. But so yes, Raiders versus the spread. Raiders to cover the spread, I should say, and Raiders to win the game at Chicago. Moving on to Kansas City Chiefs at Cincinnati Bengals. I think this could be a good close game. Wouldn't surprise me if the Chiefs win. They are a better team than their record. However, the Bengals are at home. The Bengals are undefeated, and the Bengals are really good. They are a 3.5 point favorite. I am picking the Chiefs to beat the spread. However, I am picking the Bengals at home to win the game straight up in the pick'em. Moving on then to Jacksonville Jaguars at the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are a 9.5 point favorite to win this game. I don't know what in this 2015-2016 season that spread could possibly be based on. But it is what it is. So if you're playing the spread, you got to take the Jaguars to cover that spread. Pick 'em. I definitely like the Colts at home to win the game. But I have no reason to believe, based off of anything I've seen this season, to believe that they'll do it by 10 or more points. Then we've got the Philadelphia Eagles on the road coming off of their first win of the season at the Washington Redskins. The Redskins are a 3.5-point underdog. I like the Washington Redskins to both win this game and beat the spread. Well, obviously they'd beat the spread if they won the game. I don't think the Eagles' defense is going to hold up 2 weeks in a row. The Redskins have been great at running the ball for 2 out of 3 weeks this year, and I expect them to do that at home with ease against the Philadelphia Eagles this week. But also, like I said, look for Ryan Matthews if DeMarco Murray is out for the Eagles as well. So there's some good fantasy value in the running game in that game. You want Matt Jones or Alfred Morris of the Washington Redskins and Ryan Matthews of the Philadelphia Eagles. Avoid quarterbacks and wide receivers in that game at all costs. Jordan Matthews may still do something, wide receiver for Philly. Tight end Jordan Reed may still do well for Washington. But I got the Redskins all the way in that game. Then we get to Carolina Panthers at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So if you're sensing a theme here, there are a lot of division games this week. Vikings aren't in one, but a lot of teams are. Buccaneers are a 3.5-point underdog. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I don't trust the Panthers yet at all. But I am picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to cover the spread at least, 3.5-point spread, and make it a close game where they lose by 3 or less. And boy, what am I picking here straight up? The coin flip for the winner on that one, to be quite honest with you. You know, common sense, smart money says Carolina. They're the better team. They've got the better record. They don't have a rookie quarterback. Tampa's at home. But yeah, technically I do have Carolina down here as my pick to win the game. So there you go. I'm split on that one. Carolina to win. Tampa Bay to cover the spread. Then we've got the Cleveland Browns at the San Diego Chargers. I think the Chargers, coming off of their loss, going back home, they're a very Jekyll and Hyde type of team. Where some weeks they're not good at all, other weeks they're fantastic. I think this is going to be one of those weeks where they light up the scoreboard and are fantastic. I've got the Chargers as a 7.5-point favorite to both win the game and cover that 7.5-point spread. They'll win by 8 or more. Then we've got the Minnesota Vikings, my Minnesota Vikings, maybe your Minnesota Vikings, at the Denver Broncos. The 3-0 Broncos hosting the 2-1 Minnesota Vikings. The Broncos are a 6.5-point favorite, just under a full touchdown and extra point. I am homering it up big time and picking the Minnesota Vikings to both beat that spread and win that game and hand the Denver Broncos, the extremely overachieving 3-0 Denver Broncos, their first loss of the season. Both teams will come out of that game 3-1. And I'll let you know how the Vikes are going to accomplish that coming up here in just a couple minutes. All right. Then finishing out our last couple set of games, we've got the Green Bay Packers on the road at the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners are a 9.5-point underdog. This is another one like the Bears. Packers win huge. They cover both that 10-point spread and win the game very easily. And don't look to play anyone from the San Francisco 49ers on your fantasy football team this week. Carlos Hyde's the only one to ever play anyway, and they're going to be down by so much they won't be able to run it very often. As far as the Packers go, you can't go wrong with Aaron Rodgers. James Jones is having a huge season. Devontae Adams, avoid him with his health issues at the moment. Andrew Quarles, their tight end, is out, so their backup tight end Rodgers might see an increased role. He might be a good pickup or a good value in your DraftKings and FanDuel leagues. Randall Cobb obviously is always good. And then as far as their running backs go, Eddie Lacy is a little risky yet at the moment with his health status. James Starks is not who you want to be starting in a season-long league, but he's a great value pickup and play in your DraftDuel and FanDuel, or in your FanDuel and DraftKings leagues. But yes, Packers stomp 49ers here huge this week. Lock it in. Then we've got the Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are a 6.5-point favorite. This should be a really good competitive division, low-scoring, grinded-out game by my estimation. Thus, I have the Rams covering that 6.5 point spread. If you're playing the spread, smart money is on the Rams.